CDs suck. They don't have the dynamic range that vinyl has. They sound lifeless. They 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 don't have the warmth that the CD has. They sound harsh. They sound very harsh. Yes, they do. And this is the kicker right here. This is where it's at, kids. Most true audiophiles won't listen to CDs because it's not as the artist intended. Okay? Welcome, everybody, to another action packed, exciting episode of Scotty's Record Shop. And subject at hand is it's not CDs suck. It's really actually do CDs suck. Let's kind of get into this a little bit. CDs, of course, there are. This is not going to be about. This is not going to be about personal preference. If you think vinyl sounds better, you enjoy vinyl. God love you. I love vinyl. Look back there. That's only the little bit that you can see. But I honestly am. I love CDs. I've loved CDs. Sure, I'm holding this up correctly. I've loved CDs pretty much since they've come out. Now, a lot of misunderstanding on CDs. Now, a lot of this misunderstanding about CDs has come, especially on YouTube, more recently, not in the last week or two, but more recently in the last few years, because quite honestly, let's talk about the record companies for a little while. Record companies have one goal only, and that's to sell you product. Money, 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 money. I guess I don't blame them. Capitalism, right? But so they've started this CD. There's a lot of people. YouTube vinyl community. I was part of it back in 2012 when it was a baby. Do CDs though? They're coming back. Are they? Did they ever really go away? Not really. I mean, I've got a ton of CDs upstairs. I love CDs. Do they? I don't think this is an issue of do they sound better. Let's just look at what the CD is capable of and why they sound sometimes the way they do. CDs are more than capable of handling the sonic range of your hearing, of your normal human hearing. Some of you, like some of you audiophiles out there, true audiophiles now, you have superhuman hearing. You can hear up to 40,000, you can hear up to 40K, I'm sure. You have bat hearing, okay? Right? Bullshit. Okay. Sorry. But these are more than capable of handling what music can offer. As a matter of fact, people who say that, some people, one of the things I said, music on CD sounds so compressed. It's because it is compressed. And it's not because it needs to be compressed onto a CD. It doesn't need to be compressed. CDs can handle an incredible dynamic range. Actually, in reality, it can handle a little bit of a better dynamic range than vinyl. Vinyl actually has compression. It has to. It kind of has to. The RIAA years ago designated this curve an EQ curve. Now, I know EQ is not compression, but an EQ curve because vinyl can only handle so much of a signal, so much bass, so much treble. And this curve kind of helps it so when you bring that piece of vinyl home, the needle doesn't fly all over the place. Another thing that is done, that is necessary, is compression is needed. Not a ton of it. Nothing like we're getting on Oasis CDs and things like that, a lot of modern sounding CDs. Not like that. But it is necessary. On CD, compression is not necessary. An EQ curve is not necessarily necessary. The only thing they need to really deal with is the level that's going in, how loud. Because digital distortion is horrific sounding. Unlike analog distortion, which you hear on vinyl as warmth. It sounds warm to us, and um, so that's where that's coming from. There's a website, not a website. There's a YouTube channel that I'd like you guys to check out. He gets a little technical, but um, even I can understand it. If I can understand 2/3 of what he's talking about, then you guys definitely can understand 2/3 of what he's talking about. It's called AP Mastering. I don't know the guy. He doesn't know me. I love his channel because he's going through and just destroying a lot of misconceptions in the audio world. You know, an expensive DAC is 10 times better than a cheap DAC because it's more expensive, right? All that audio jewelry, you know what I mean? I love his channel. Check it out. He goes into depth, numerous videos about analog versus digital, and he's it's not about his ears. It's about purely scientific testing. Okay. Now, I've been really fortunate enough. I worked a little bit in the wonderful world of recording, not much, but I've had some experience in it back in the 80s when it was analog. We were using tape. 24 track, the studio I was at was a 24 track. I believe it was a 24 track Fostex. Not that that even matters, and I've had experience in the digital realm. So I'm not an absolute idiot about this stuff, but I'm not the end all. However, I do know a few mastering engineers. I've had some correspondence, we'll say, with some mastering engineers, some very well-known mastering engineers who will not speak on the record because they want the business. Okay, now there's a term that a lot of people use, in especially in mastering, the sound. The sound that you're hearing. People want their products to stand out. They want them to be nice and loud. They want them to sound good on the radio. They want to compete with everybody else's records. So mastering engineers have no choice but to make things as loud as possible and try their best to not lose the dynamic range. That's really tough to do. Some people do it better than others, but really, if you get some of these guys that I've talked to, some fairly big names, and you're like, which domain do you prefer? A lot of them will say digital. They'll say digital for a lot of reasons. Now, I was mentioning AP mastering. I have a little. I've seen this done before too on another YouTube video where a person was like, okay, so how does analog compare with digital? Because really, this is what this is about. Analog versus digital. The age-old analog versus digital. So I did this experiment. I had somebody else come over because like I said, my hearing is shot. You can't trust I don't trust my hearing. If you came over and saw my EQ curve, you'd shudder, okay? You'd just, there's too much high end. I can't hear high end, so I have to crank everything up. But the test is basically, in short, recording a piece of vinyl into the digital domain and then playing that digital file back. Now, there are things you need to make sure you've got going right. You need to make sure that things are level matched. You need to make sure that the stuff, and you don't need a $20,000 phono preamp. You don't need a $10,000 DAC. Honestly, what I used, I'll tell you what I used. I used an Audio-Technica ATLP 120, which is a USB / RCA jacks out. I used the inner preamp. Now, that's not a great preamp. It's not the best preamp in the world. I wasn't concerned so much about how good the sound could be. I wanted to see if the sound that was coming out of my speakers through, that internal DAC, not internal DAC, but internal preamp, sounded the same as when I played the file through the stereo system that I had recorded. So I did that. Made sure everything was level matched and everything else. Used the same piece of vinyl, same sections. I listened to it. I couldn't hear the difference. Well, duh, my hearing's shot. Surely, if we bring a young person in here who has, actually the person that I know has immaculate hearing and loves music, okay? This is not someone who doesn't know anything, okay? I brought him in. Immaculate hearing. We did this A-B thing. He did it for me. I couldn't hear the difference. We did the A-B thing with him. He couldn't hear the difference. He tried guessing, but it was quite obvious, and it's a very simple test. Okay, so there you go. Now you can do that test as well, but I recommend that you kind of have somebody else with you to do that. Now, the last thing, this is going to really step on. I've wanted to put this in a video for a long time, and this is where it's going. And yes, it's going to hurt. Okay, now we're going to go to MoFi. Okay, I almost don't want to do this, but we need to do this because this proves the point beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay, MoFi. God love MoFi. I've got some MoFi stuff. You know, I personally feel it's overpriced, but it's good sounding. Okay, now of course a couple of years ago, most of us know about the big MoFi scandal where people found out that they were using digital, they were using DSD files. It wasn't direct from the original master tape. The master tape to DSD to lathe to, you know, okay. This is where this is kind of going to get painful. All these people, and I went back, and I did this even recently. People that I know that are really into MoFi stuff, and they talk about it. Some people were smart, and they kind of scrubbed their channel a little bit. Go back 5 or 6 years. Go back and listen to their review of the Santana Abraxas album. It sounded great. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. MoFi hit it out of the park again. That's right. Until they found out that there was a digital link in the chain. Oh man, that sounds so terrible. I knew it. I knew there was something wrong here. Bullshit. You didn't hear it then. You can't hear it now. We can't. Not just you. I'm not trying to single you out. I can't hear it. And here's another mind blower for some of you. From about 1979 on, most recordings have a digital stage in them. It happened in the lathe because I'm trying to think of the company. There was actually 2 companies, I believe, that started making lathes, which, you know, the cutting machine, used a digital delay so that the cutting apparatus could hear ahead of time what was coming up so it could adjust. This made for a much cleaner, better sounding cut. Now, a lot of people didn't know that, you know. I mean, one of the albums, and I had been holding up the Dire Straits, you know, Making Movies album, CD and album. I mean, obviously a lot of people love the sound of Brothers in Arms. Brothers in Arms, completely digital. I mean, yes, the board wasn't the digital board. I watched a video on that and got, oh, it's not totally digital. The majority of the process was digital. And you know what? It's a great sounding record. It's a great sounding record. So, I don't know what to tell you. If you love the sound of vinyl, and I love the sound of vinyl, then God love you. You know, I'm buying more CDs now than vinyl, and that is because vinyl has gotten so out of control price-wise. I think everybody agrees with that. I just don't care that much for the price of vinyl. I love vinyl. If I can find a good used record store with some moderately decent prices, which is getting harder to find, I'll buy more vinyl. But for right now, CDs for now, unfortunately, it's going to go up. I guarantee the price of CDs are going to go up because the music industry, who only wants to make money, hears you guys talking out there about how CDs are back. So naturally, the prices on Discogs, the people that are selling them secondhand. I'm not crapping on you guys, the used stores and stuff like that. You guys are just trying to make money. Go for it. If the demand is there and you can raise the price up, I guess that's okay. But get CDs now while they're still fairly inexpensive because I'm pretty sure the prices are going to go up again. Anyway, if you love vinyl, God love you. If you love CDs, God love you. If you love it all, it's all about the music. As Mazzy would say, it's the music, stupid. It's whatever you think sounds better. But remember, it's what you think. Sound, unless it's like a really, 96 kilobyte MP3 or something, then that's kind of obvious. That's not going to sound that great. But a higher quality digital recording, a DSD recording, is going to be whatever you put into it. If you put a very nice, warm sounding, well recorded, non loudness war piece onto a DSD file, it's going to sound fabulous. And if you put that file onto a CD, it's going to sound fabulous. It is. So don't be afraid of CDs. Do what you want to do. God love you. But anyway, just wanted to take and chime in on this whole thing. Sorry that was a little bit long and kind of rambled. I probably didn't even say, I'll probably go back and watch this and go, I didn't even say half the crap I wanted to. But whatever. Hey, thank you to the new subscribers, by the way. I usually say that right at the beginning. But thank you. We got a couple new subscribers from the last video, and that's fantastic. You're greatly appreciated. And of course, like you guys know, you're all greatly appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share and comment too. Let me know I'm an idiot. Please don't be mean about it like that though. And these are just my thoughts. Check out AP Mastering if you really want to get pissed off. Don't throw that at me. Throw it at him. He can handle it a lot better than I can, and he's got the knowledge and the data to back himself up. So anyway, all right, kiddies. Until next time, peace and love.